There is an old question that stories have been asking for thousands of years. A question so strange that most people never stop to think about it. Every story gives us a hero. Someone brave, someone noble, someone we are supposed to admire. And yet, long after the story ends, it isn't always the hero we remember. It's the villain, the one who broke every rule, the one who embraced every forbidden desire, the one we were told to fear. Think about it. We quote their words. We wear their masks. We analyze their motives. Sometimes, we even hope they escape. Why? Why would ordinary people who value kindness, justice, and compassion, find themselves fascinated by characters who possess none of those qualities? Is it simply brilliant storytelling? Or is something far older happening? Something hidden beneath every legend, every fairy tale, every blockbuster, every nightmare? Perhaps the villain doesn't captivate us because they are different from us. Perhaps they captivate us because they reveal something we've spent our entire lives trying to hide. Tonight's story begins in a forgotten kingdom, a place where the greatest hero was loved by all. But the man history could never stop talking about was the monster. Long before anyone spoke of psychology, before scholars searched the mind for answers, there was a kingdom that believed every story needed a hero, and every hero needed a villain. In the kingdom of Alaris, children grew up hearing the tale of Sir Aldrin, the greatest knight who had ever lived. He was honest, merciful, brave beyond measure. He never broke a promise, never lied, never acted out of anger. Every statue in the kingdom carried his face. Every school taught his victories. Every parent whispered his name as an example of the person their children should become. The people admired him, but they did not tell stories about him. Those stories belonged to someone else. A man named Kale. Kale lived beyond the Black Forest, where the old roads disappeared beneath twisted roots. Travelers spoke of him in frightened voices. Some called him a murderer. Others claimed he had burned villages. Children were warned that if they wandered too far into the woods, the Shadow Walker would find them. No one agreed on what Kale looked like, only that he smiled before doing terrible things. And somehow, that made the stories even more irresistible. Every evening, families gathered around their fires. Someone would begin. I heard Kale outsmarted the king's entire army. Another would reply, no. He walked straight through them without drawing his sword. Then another. They say he stole the royal treasure. No. He gave it away to beggars. No. He poisoned a prince. No. He spared him. Every storyteller added something new. Every listener leaned closer. Every version became darker and stranger. No one realized something peculiar was happening. The stories about the hero grew shorter. The stories about the villain grew longer. Years passed. Children no longer pretended to be Sir Aldrin. Instead, they dressed as Kale. They copied the black cloak. They carved wooden masks with his crooked smile, not because they wanted to become monsters, but because monsters were fascinating. The kingdom grew uneasy. How could decent people admire such a man? The king ordered every tale about Kale destroyed. Books were burned. Bards were silenced. Anyone caught praising the Shadow Walker was punished. For a while, the stories disappeared until they returned. Whispered, hidden, passed from parent to child, growing stronger each time. The more the kingdom tried to erase Kale, the larger he became. Soon, people no longer remembered what crimes he had actually committed, only that he was unforgettable. Then, one winter evening, an old woman arrived at the royal court. She carried a weathered journal wrapped in faded leather. Inside were the writings of the kingdom's oldest historian. The pages revealed something astonishing. There had never been a record of Kale burning villages, No evidence he murdered innocent people. No proof he poisoned princes. Half the stories were inventions. The other half had changed so many times that no one could separate truth from legend. The kingdom had spent generations fearing a man they no longer understood. Yet somehow, they couldn't stop telling his story. Not because he was the hero, not because he was evil, but because he represented something the perfect knight never could. Something dangerous, something thrilling, something every listener secretly recognized, but could never bring themselves to admit. And that is where our mystery truly begins. The strange thing about Kale is that kingdoms like his don't only exist in stories. They exist every time we gather around a screen. Every time a new villain walks onto the stage. Think about it. When was the last time you searched for videos explaining why the hero was inspiring? Probably never, but you've almost certainly watched someone analyze the Joker, or Hannibal Lecter, or Darth Vader, or another unforgettable antagonist. We don't simply remember villains. We study them. We quote them. We imitate them. Sometimes, we even understand them. That raises an uncomfortable question. If heroes represent the person we aspire to become, why do villains so often become the people we can't stop thinking about? What is it they possess that the hero doesn't? To answer that, we have to leave the kingdom behind and step inside the human mind. So, why did the people of Alaris never stop telling Kale's story? Why do we remember the villain long after we've forgotten the flawless hero? One answer comes from the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. Jung believed that every human being carries two versions of themselves, the one we present to the world, and another that remains hidden. He called that hidden side the shadow. The shadow is not a monster living inside us. It is the collection of qualities, desires, emotions, and impulses we learn to suppress. Anger, envy, pride, the hunger for power, the desire to break the rules, the part of us that wants revenge instead of forgiveness, the part that wants to speak when society tells us to stay silent. As children, we're taught which parts of ourselves are acceptable. Be kind, be patient, don't be selfish, don't be cruel. And those lessons matter. They help us live together. But according to Jung, the feelings themselves don't simply disappear. They move into the shadows of our minds. Not gone, just hidden. Now imagine watching a villain walk onto the screen. He lies without guilt. He speaks without fear. He takes what he wants. He ignores the rules that everyone else obeys. In real life, those behaviors can hurt people, and they're not something to admire. But in fiction, no one gets harmed by our curiosity. For a few hours, we can safely explore thoughts and emotions we never want to act on. The villain becomes more than a character. He becomes a symbol of freedom from the expectations we place on ourselves. Perhaps that's why perfectly flawless heroes often feel distant. They represent who we wish we could be. But is Carl Jung's shadow the only reason villains fascinate us? Not necessarily. Modern psychology offers several pieces of the puzzle. Rather than pointing to a single explanation, researchers suggest that our attraction to fictional villains may come from a combination of curiosity, empathy, and the unique way our brains respond to stories. One reason is something psychologists call safe simulation. Stories allow us to experience situations we would never choose in real life. We can witness danger, feel fear, imagine impossible choix, all while sitting safely in our homes. It's one of the oldest functions of storytelling. Stories become a rehearsal space for the mind. We explore betrayal without being betrayed. We experience revenge without seeking it. We confront monsters without facing real danger. The villain is part of that simulation. He asks questions most heroes never do. What happens when someone rejects every rule? What does absolute power look like? How far would a person go if nothing could stop them? The answers are terrifying, but they're also deeply compelling. Another reason lies in how our brains process surprise. Heroes often behave exactly as we expect. They protect, they sacrifice, they forgive. Villains, on the other hand, are unpredictable. Their next decision is uncertain, and uncertainty captures attention. Our brains naturally focus on the unexpected because, throughout human history, noticing the unpredictable often meant the difference between survival and disaster. Then there's complexity. Many unforgettable villains aren't born evil. They're broken, driven by grief. Perhaps the people of Alaris were never captivated by Kale because they admired evil. Perhaps they were captivated because he gave a face to something they struggled to understand within themselves. The kingdom spent generations trying to erase his name, yet every attempt only made the legend grow. Not because darkness is stronger than light, but because what we refuse to confront often becomes impossible to forget. Maybe that's why the greatest villains endure long after the credits roll. Heroes remind us of who we hope to become. Villains remind us of who we fear we could become. And somewhere between those two is where every human life is lived. The truth is, every one of us carries impulses we'd rather not admit. Moments of anger, jealousy, pride, the temptation to seek revenge, the desire to be seen, to be powerful, to break free from every expectation placed upon us. Those thoughts don't define us. What defines us is the choices we make despite them. Perhaps that's the real lesson hidden inside every great story. The hero isn't someone born without darkness. The hero is someone who learns to face it without surrendering to it. And maybe that's why the villain matters. Not as someone to imitate, but as someone who forces us to ask difficult questions about ourselves. Stories have always done more than entertain. Long before there were psychologists, long before there were laboratories, there were storytellers around fires, in villages, inside temples, across generations. They understood something we're still discovering today, that the quickest path to understanding the human mind is often through a story. So the next time a villain steps onto the screen and you find yourself unable to look away, don't ask only what makes them so compelling. Ask something far more revealing. What part of being human are they holding up for me to see? Because beneath every tale, there's another story, and sometimes that story is about us.